Welcome to my channel! Hey guys, girls and non-binary dogs, Peanut here again. Before this reading starts, I need to inform you that this Dodobrothers inspired Creepypasta reading is based on the official reading, The Russian Sleep Experiment. That means subject matters like cannibalism, medical experiments, captivity, surgery, blood, death, organ removal, replacement, and more. If you not feel well or pass out during listening to this reading, I don't mind if you're turning this video off and ask a psychologist for help. But please keep always in mind, the Russian sleep experiment is a pure fictional creepypasta and it isn't real. Listener discretion is advised. The researchers in the past few years kept 5 people awake for the 50 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them. Since it was toxic in high concentrations, it was before closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones in 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, in cots to sleep on, but no bedding, as well as running water, a toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were innocent prisoners of the Dodo kingdom during the Dodo War too. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days straight. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about incredulously dramatic incidents in their past. The general tone of the conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that lead them to where they were and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering into the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades. The other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected that it was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber repeatedly, yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight, at which point he continued attempting to scream, but it was only able to produce unconscious squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior was how the other captives reacted on it, or rather, didn't reacting on it. They continued whispering into the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own faces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering into the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be occurring with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must have been still alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 15th day, the researchers did something they said they would not to do to get the reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the people they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will be earned one of you your immediately freedom." To their surprise, they heard a calm voice responding in a single phrase, "We not longer want to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened and Dodo soldiers were sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers, when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them in life. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. Where there were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chests stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking it and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects had also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from the bones. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers insinually thought. Close examination of the position and angles of the wound indicated the most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the ribcage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact, but had been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the investigating but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of the days. Most of the soldiers were Dodo specialist operators at the facility, but still, many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. The subjects themselves continued to scream to be left in the chamber and begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To anyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Dodo soldiers died from having his throat ripped out, and another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off, an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives, if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects has been spleen redumbed and bleed out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempt to sedate them, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of a morphine derivative and still forged like the cornered animal. Breaking the ribs and arm one of the doctors, his heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out, to the point where there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flailed for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach, and just repeatedly the word "more" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the one surgical operation room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative that had been given him to prepare him for the surgery. He fought furiously against its restraints with the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch white leather strap on one wrist, even through the weight of a 200-pound Dodo soldier holding the wrist. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under. In the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operation table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal level of oxygen. The muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were barely torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle not be sedated. Most of them were from the force his own muscles had exerted on them. The second survivor has been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming, his vocal cords destroyed. He was unable to beg or object the surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly that should try the surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remaining of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should not to be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assiding the surgery stated that she has seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling, assuming this must have been something of a drastic importance. The surgeon had a pen and a pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple: keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared the system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given. I must remain awake. All 3 subjects restrained were reforced and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of the military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered infusing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer and ex-KGB instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. In the preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To anyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling. The moment it was let slip, they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point, all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was strained his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. First left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinked rapidly. Having been the first to be wired on an EEG machine, most of the researchers were monitoring his brain waves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined experimentally. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal as they focused on paper, scrolling out of the brainwave monitor. Only one nurse saw the man's eyes slipped shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of the deep sleep. They flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flatlines as the one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the orders to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as the 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brain out as well. He pointed his gun to the remaining subject, still restrained on the bed, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in there with these things, not with you, he screamed at the man strapped on the table. What are you? He demanded. I must know. The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. What? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyzes when you go into the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. The subjects paused. The researchers paused to then aim at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subjects weakly choked out. So nearly free.
dreams are made of screams. Those who lost their minds will disagree. You travel the world on a 7D. Everybody's looking for someone, and they found you, and they found you, and they found you. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them wanna get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them wanna be abused. Sweet dreams are made of screams. The corrupted ones just won't let you sleep. They'll crawl on your walls and they'll spread their disease. Every one of them's looking for someone.
I think I have told enough stories.